power to kill anybody just by writing their name down. What a power. Something that, if actually used in the real world, would have drastic consequences depending on who wields it. But it's a fascinating thought, no? What would one do with such a power? A power like that would make you a god amongst men, would it not? You'd have the power to shape the world to your will. For better or for worse. This is what happens in the anime Death Note. Today I will be explaining why what Light Yagami did was right and justified. I'm the Right-Wing Lutheran. I cover many things on this channel. I don't usually do movie or shows reviews on here, but there is something about Death Note I just needed to talk about. That being, of course, the ideology of Light Yagami, and how what he does is justified. Over the course of a weekend, I binge-watched the entirety of Death Note. Slow weekend, I know. It's a show from the late 2000s. I was convinced into doing it by one of my friends, but oh my god, was it worth the watch. Absolute cinema. If you haven't watched the show, I highly recommend it. Hell, I don't even watch anime, but I've seen like 6 or 7 of them in total. You don't have to like anime to watch it. Anyway, there's spoilers ahead. Yeah, this is your warning. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Death Note, let me give you the little plot synopsis of the show. The plot of Death Note centers around a brilliant high school student named Light Yagami, who finds a supernatural notebook with the power to kill any person whose name is written in it. He uses the notebook, calling himself Kira, to kill criminals in an attempt to create a utopian world, but his actions attract the attentions of an enigmatic detective known as L, sparking an intense psychological battle between the two. The story follows their complex game of cat and mouse as L tries to identify and catch Kira, while Light works to avoid capture and further his plan. That's Death Note. That's a synopsis of what you get if you look it up. But anyway, throughout the show, Light's whole goal is that he wants to create a perfect world free of crime. This is his initial motivation. He eventually finds more bad things to rid the world of, but that will go on as the show progresses. When Light initially gets the notebook, he is in his senior year of high school. He straight up just finds the book randomly on the grass. It was dropped by a god of death, a Shinigami. When he finds the book on the floor, he looks at it and sees the cover. Death Note. He picks it up and eventually when he gets home, checks to see what it's all about. Of course, his first thought is that, oh, this is just a prank, it's not real, is it? But when you read the book and open the first cover, you're given these instructions. The most prominent being, the human whose name is written in this notebook shall die. This notebook cannot take effect unless the writer has the person's face in mind when writing his/her name. If the cause of death is written within the next 40 seconds of writing this person's name, it will happen. These are the basic instructions on how to use it. There's also others, such as the human who uses this notebook can neither go to heaven nor hell. Of course, looking at this from a Christian perspective means that you wouldn't want to use a notebook in the first place, but it begs the question, would you sacrifice your soul to create a better world? I'll bring this up later. Also, something interesting about the Death Note universe. Yeah, I'm mentioning this now because if I don't, someone in the comments will. The book kind of contradicts itself by saying that humans go to MU after death, MU being, nothingness, like the atheist death. It's debated whether Light goes to a sort of purgatory or goes to nothingness, but for the purpose of this video, I'd be looking at from the Christian, or I guess in this case, the more Catholic perspective, where if you use the Death Note, you don't go to heaven or hell, you just go to some sort of purgatory. Keep this in mind for later. From there, Light tests the notebook on an active criminal on the news, who has a record of previous crimes. He's currently holding 8 people hostage at a daycare center. The perfect test subject. Of course, when Light writes his name down in the notebook and he sees that the book works, he is surprised. Is this proof that the notebook actually works? No, it must just be a coincidence, he thinks. But from this point on, he goes to cram school where he thinks, what if it isn't just a coincidence, and I can kill people? What should I do with it? Who should I kill? That's where Light's coming from. He's only thought about this in the first place because he sees one of his classmates basically getting robbed out of 20 yen. But Light realizes it would be stupid to kill anyone he knows personally. Yeah, very smart on his part if he wants actual change. He can't be caught early. But as he's thinking about killing this bully, he has the thought of, would anyone really care if someone like him were to just disappear one day? It's a thought I'm sure we've all had. You seeing something bad happen to someone, not necessarily even if you like them, you just think to yourself the same thing Light is thinking. Would people really care if bad people just disappeared one day? The difference being, of course, is that Light might actually have the power to make that a reality. After he gets done with cram school, he starts to head home. Along the way, he starts to think to himself once again.
Looking around, it makes you wonder if you'd be doing society a favor by getting rid of all these people.
Hey, baby! Where are you going? Come have a little fun with us.
That's our Taku for you. This guy can spot a hottie a mile away.
What's up, little lady? The name's Tako Shibuimaru. What do you say? Come and hang out with us, pretty lady.
Please, I don't want any trouble.
You hear that? She doesn't want trouble.
Woo! Isn't that cute? Let's go, boys. Strip it down right here.
Are you sure?
No! Stop! Please! Help me!
Now, what will happen?
Hey, wait up!
Taco, look out!
That settles it. The Death Note. It's for real.
Oh, man! Taco! Stupid kid! He just came out of nowhere! Oh!
Once again, this is another relatable thought I'm sure we've all had before. Walking in a crowded city and seeing the chaos that just goes on around you. If you live in a bigger city, New York, LA, Chicago, or Tokyo, where Death Note takes place, you can attest to seeing some crazy homeless guy committing crimes in broad daylight, and then just nothing happens to him. The thought Light is having is not crazy. It's a sane thought. It's a moral thought. He wants to protect others. And as much as people say, oh, having those kind of thoughts is bad, Light is not wrong. The world would be better off if you could actually walk in a big city peacefully at night without worrying about getting stabbed, robbed, or raped. Now, I want to take a step back before we go forward. Just put yourself in Light's shoes for a second. You found out that the notebook descended from the heavens actually kills people? I guess descended from the Shinigami realm actually kills people? What would you do? The majority of people would use it for personal gain. We see this later in the show with businessmen, the Yotsuba group, using the Death Note by killing off competition. We also see it in the Death Note sequel with a kid selling the Death Note to Donald Trump. Yes, yeah, it's real, it's canon. I swear to God. You know, God forbid it falls in the hands of some sort of criminal enterprise who uses it to commit crimes 10 times easier. My point being with this is that the potential bad things that could happen with the Death Note are unthinkable, or they're unfathomable. So much evil could be caused, but no. What Light Yagami decides to do is to create a world free of crime, free of the filth that plagues our world societies. Light Yagami uses the Death Note for good. What's so bad about killing the scum of the earth, the people who only want to drag us down? Light also states,
I will become the god of this new world.
now, yes, many times he also states that he wants to become this god of the new world. But hell, can you really blame him? You're going to be the one responsible for creating a literal utopia, and you don't want any recognition for it? You don't want to lead your utopia? The power Light is getting here is merely just a benefit, a plus to this utopia that he wants to create. And you're telling me that you wouldn't want to live in a crime-free world? So what if the guy that ensures it is a little power-hungry? Power-hungry people aren't inherently bad people. Just because you want to strive for power to do good things does not make you evil. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to gain power to do good things. And that's what Light's doing. Anyway, after Light is sure that the notebook can kill people, he goes home and he kills criminals for 5 days straight. For 5 days, he's killing the worst of the worst people you can think of. Inmates that should have been killed a long time ago. The top crime lords and crime bosses. The people that have been wanted for years but just haven't been able to be caught, be convicted. He's been the one judging. It all happens in this very nice sequence. It's episode 1's amazing. You know, whole show's amazing, but I just want you to think about it. For 5 days straight, all he's done, he goes to school and he comes home and he writes in the death note until he goes to bed. So it's just school, death note, bed. School, death note, bed. That's all he's been doing for 5 days. That's how committed he is. Of course, after some time, this is where Ryuk, the Shinigami, the god of death, shows up. He explains that this notebook is now Light's, and Light is free to do whatever he pleases with it. Ryuk also explains more stuff about the death note. Towards the end of the first episode, Light is being shown walking away from the biker gang leader, Death, as from earlier. As he's walking, he's thinking to himself,
Them both. I killed 2 men. Those were human lives. It won't be overlooked. Besides, who am I to pass judgment on others? No, wait. Maybe I'm wrong. This is exactly what I've been thinking about lately. This world is rotting, and those who are making it rot deserve to die. Someone has to do it, so why not me? Even if it means sacrificing my own mind and soul, it's worth it. Because the world can't go on like this. I wonder, what if someone else had picked up this notebook? Is there anyone out there other than me who'd be willing to eliminate the vermin from the world? If I don't do it, then who will? That's just it, there's no one. But I can do it. In fact, I'm the only one who can. I'll do it. Using the Death Note, I'll change the world.
this shows Light is willing to go through anything to create his perfect world. Everything he holds near and dear to try to make this dream a reality. At this point in the show, Light is just killing criminals. These criminals that should have been killed already, but they haven't because they were either already in life in prison or they don't have enough evidence to be convicted, even though we all know that they're guilty. This will ramp up and increase more and more, but if you've been watching the channel, I very, very much agree with the death penalty. It was one of my first and favorite videos that I've made. But really, a key point of this whole show can really come down to whether you support the death penalty or not. Light supports the permanent punishment and solution of these people who only drag society down, whilst this mentality of Light, I feel I can very, very much relate to, wanting change but being so powerless to do so. The difference now is that Light is like a god. He has the power to strike anyone down, at his own discretion, of course. This is a thing that will change him forever, as he takes on the role of the judge, jury, and the executioner as early as the first episode. Thus far, his judgment has been right. There's no doubt about it. Later on is where the real debate happens. And as much as I would love to go into detail about each episode, how Light's killings have been justified, the same justifications, if the justification doesn't change, I'm not going to bring it up. And the justifications roughly stay the same until episode 5. Up until episode 5, he's just killing criminals day in and day out. What happens within these 5 episodes is basically that the police are trying to find Kira, which is what the media and what people have been starting to call Light. That's his alias, is as the guy that goes and kills criminals, judges criminals by giving them a heart attack, so people can have to connect the dots together. Anyway, if I say Light or Kira, they're the same person. Within these episodes, L gets introduced. He hides his real face and name, but because of this, Light can't kill him. Also, Light's dad is the police chief, which is how Light can find certain classified police info. L finds out that Light is in a certain region of Japan. baiting Light into killing him by placing a stunt double posing to be L. Of course, that stunt double was a death row inmate and was scheduled for execution earlier that day. But even as early as L does this, you could argue that Light is killing the police that's going after them. And here you would be right, because Light tried to kill L by episode 2, except, of course, he was just outsmarted by L. This is a time in the show where the battle of the wits between Light and L just start to begin, which is one of the, if not the best parts of the show, watching L and Light's dynamic. But Light is trying to kill L. This signifies that Light will kill those who get in the way of his perfect world. Of course, he failed here, as he was literally rage baited by L more than anything. And of course, L finds out Kira's logic and explains it to the police. But what happens in episode 5 is the time when the audience truly begin to question Light's justification. You see, FBI agents have been sent to Japan to try and find Kira. Because of the police data breach that Kira utilized, they think that Kira must be amongst someone with classified police info, or someone close to someone with police info. Thus, an FBI agent is sent to watch Light, as, he's close to the NPA chief, which is his dad. Once again, I'm very much oversimplifying the plot of Death Note. Go watch the show, it's so good. After a clever plan to use the Death Note to make a criminal rob a train right before he dies, this train that both the FBI agent and Light were on, Light is about to attack the train robber when the FBI agent tells Light not to do that. Light asks him and says, "How do we know you're not the one working with the train robber?" And in response to this, the FBI agent has to give over his ID to prove to Light that he's an actual FBI agent. This is how Light gets the FBI agent's name, his name being Ray Pember. What happens next is the train robber hops off the train after seeing Ryuk. It's a whole elaborate plot that Light had, where he immediately dives to an oncoming car. This is exactly what Light had planned, as he wrote down exactly what that train robber was going to do before he died. What happens next is that Light waits a few days. Then he finds Ray in public. He comes up behind him claiming to be Kira, and says that if he moves, he will die. Of course, by this point, no one knows how Kira actually kills people, so Ray goes along with what Kira's going to say, with what Light's going to say. Light then makes Ray get on a subway train, gives Ray a piece of the Death Note without telling him that's the Death Note, of course, and only having certain parts of the page be allowed to write on, where what he tells Ray to do is to write down all the names of the FBI agents in Japan, unknowingly killing all the FBI agents who were after him. After this is done and over with, Light then kills Ray as he is leaving the subway. Now, how is Light justified in doing this? First off, before I even get started, they make Ray Pember way more likable, showing you his personal life. Oh, he's got a fiance, they're gonna get married soon. But what Light is doing here is justified. Even though this man, for the most part, was innocent, he didn't really do anything wrong in his life, yeah. But what he instead did was get in the way of the process of making a utopia. Yes, he didn't kill anyone. He didn't steal. For the most part, he was a stand-up guy. But he was standing in the way, slowing down and potentially even stopping the process to create a crime-free, peaceful utopia. He is stopping this utopia from happening. Light has a way to get rid of these people. And you're telling me he's just not gonna use that power for the greater good of humanity? The ends justify the means when it comes to creating a utopia. Light needs to do this. He's not doing this because he likes it, with the exception of L, of course. Rather, he needs to kill these FBI agents, and, in general, those people who are trying to stop him. Because, at the end of the day, those who are trying to stop Kira are on the same side of the scum of the earth that Light wants to rid the world of in the first place. In my personal experience, talking with people I know about Death Note, most people who end up siding with Light agree that the death penalty is good, while those that disagree with the death penalty end up siding with L. Yet, I see time and time again those people who wish death upon Light. Thus, they themselves agree with his mentality and his ideology to a certain extent. they realize that there are people in this world that shouldn't be around. Yet, it's not your average criminal. No, no, no. They're stealing because they need to. Really? Just because they're born into an unfortunate situation gives them the right to rob, murder, and steal? Yet, all the welfare that goes to them gets spent on drugs and alcohol, not any actual support. Light sees these people and wishes them to be gone. Whilst those who support L say that they're fighting for justice. Yet, all they're doing is depriving a society of a hero that it so desperately needs. Because of this logic and reasoning, anyone who opposes Kira should get what's coming to them. That being to Kira's discretion, of course. Moving on. What happens in the coming episodes is the fiancée of Ray Pember, Naomi, she is trying to figure out what happened to her husband. Why did he just randomly die of a heart attack? Correctly assuming that it has to do with the Kira deaths. As I've stated earlier, Light's dad is the police chief. Light is bringing his dad new clothes as he's been pulling all-nighters working on the Kira case. Though, when Light gets to headquarters to give him the clothes, he sees it's basically empty. Most investigators have stopped working, fearing for their lives, proving that what Light is doing serves as a deterrent even more. Whilst a bunch of the remaining investigators meet with L face to face, at headquarters there is a woman who wants to talk with the investigators, telling the people at the front desk that she has info regarding Kira. Light, curious of course, decides to talk with her for a whole damn episode. Light finds out that this lady is the fiancée of Ray Pember, and she basically is about to find out that he was the one on the train that was robbed, and he was the one near the subway. And she's gonna connect the dots, and she's about to find out that Light is Kira. So, Light tries to do everything in his power to try and dissuade her, or try to figure out her name. And when he does, it just turns out to be an alias. It's such a good episode. It's 22 minutes of Light just straight gaslighting this lady. It's peak. It's peak. Gotta be in like the top 10 Death Note episodes. Anyway, Light eventually convinces her that he's the one working on the Kira case. And because of this, he offers her the job, being like, oh yeah, come work with us. And in doing this, he gets her real name. You know what? I'm just gonna play the clip.
So, if you don't mind my asking, why do you keep checking your watch?
Oh, well, I guess it's because I'm Kira. What's the matter?
There's something I have to do.
My father's cell phone might be available now. Do you want to see if you can talk to him?
No, thank you. I have nothing to say to him.
Then goodbye, Naomi Misora.
It's so good! God, do I love this show. But, once again, what Light does here is justified. This lady was once again, just like Ray, about to uncover everything that Light has been working on this entire time. Everything that has happened so far, and everything that will happen, will be in vain if he lets her live. The ends justify the means. Have you ever heard of the trolley problem? Would you pull down the lever and kill one guy, or do nothing and watch 5 people die? Of course, your only option is to either pull the lever, kill one man, saving the 5, or do nothing and watch the 5 people die, letting the 1 man survive. This problem works in absolutes, but Light is the one trying to pull the lever, saving the majority of people, the majority of society. Well, what people like Elle, Ray Pember, and Naomi, and every single person that is trying to catch or stop Kira, are stopping Light from pulling that lever, creating a tug-of-war match with the lever. These people mentioned they do not see the error of their ways, and there is only a matter of time before the train comes. Light can't wait and convince these people who are actively opposing him. He only has so much time. But what he can do is convince those standing around the lever, the greater spectators of society, those who haven't picked a side yet. Those people can come and help him, killing 1 man and saving 5, both for the greater good, as well as doing whatever is necessary to stop the people opposing him. The ends justify the means once again. Anyway, that was my analogy for you. Continuing on with the story. Elle eventually connects the dots himself, placing Light as the number 1 suspect in the Kira case. But the killings don't stop. When cameras are put up in Light's house, Light hides a camcorder and the death note in a bag of potato chips. And this is one of the funniest clips in the entire show. I saw it even when I didn't watch Death Note. It's something I've seen before. Just
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it. Anyway, there's lots of overly dramatic stuff like that in the show. It's funny. It's good. Anyway, Light continues the killings, and not much new justification pops up for the next 6 episodes. This changes in episode 11, where Misa is introduced. Misa has also obtained the Death Note. She has her own Shinigami. Once again, very oversimplified. Just go watch the show. But what Misa does is she puts a tape on live TV, and she claims to be Kira. She does this because she is obsessed with and wants to meet the real Kira. She worships Kira because of what happened with her family. Light, using the Death Note, killed the man who killed her parents. This is just one of the many, many examples that show what Light is doing is good. Misa was sad and depressed before this, but when she found out Kira was the one who brought her killer to justice, she couldn't be more happy. Now that she has the power of the Death Note and is trying to get the attention of the real Kira, I bring her up to show the good that Light has been doing. Also, because she kills a bit differently than Light does. In line with Light, she kills criminals and kills a police officer and trying to stop her broadcast. She does this with the Shinigami eyes, which basically what they do is that you can make a deal with the Shinigami and you will shorten your lifespan by cutting your lifespan in half, but she can also see the names of people over their heads. And so you just need to look at someone and you know their name and you can write their name down in the Death Note. Of course, when they finally do meet, Light criticizes Misa for being reckless enough to let Elle figure out that there are 2 Kiras and how she is running Kira's name through the gutter. Yet, he will still utilize Misa, originally just wanting to use her, but eventually he will come to love her, as his original plan is to kill Misa after Elle is killed, but he doesn't do this, because he eventually loves her. Even if Light's goals and desires for this new world come forth, he still, in time, will love her, even if it's transactional love. Anyway, I'm gonna skip ahead here a little bit, because a huge chunk of this is just Light and Elle doing their game of wits. The justification remains the same for all the killings, until Misa is captured for being the second Kira. And of course the capture of Light Yagami soon follows. Of course, Light comes up with a plan where he will turn himself in but relinquish the notebook, and he will get ownership of it back later, as well as adding fake rules to the notebook, such as saying that you have to kill someone every 13 days. This is just all part of Light's plan to make him look more innocent. So, Misa and Light's dad are all locked up together for 50 days. You know, Light's dad wanted to be locked up with him because, you know, it's his son. Go watch the show. You'll get more context once again. Light's and Misa's memories are wiped, while a different owner now has the notebook, just as Light has instructed. And what else he has instructed is to tell this new owner of the notebook that he has to have the killings continue, have to kill X amount of criminals every day. Light works with Elle to catch this new Kira, as after he has been proven innocent because the killings continue after a certain amount of time, he is released from prison after 50 days, him and Misa, after an elaborate plan to make sure that they are innocent, you know, accusing them, saying that, oh, they're gonna die, but they didn't actually die. Anyway, go watch the show! Now, Light's mental state and morals, without having any knowledge or memory of the notebook, is different than what it was, you know, of course, when he had the notebook. Light's reasoning for going after Kira is because Kira hurt his family. He made him, his girlfriend, and his dad be locked up, falsely accused, for 50 days. Solitary confinement. Nothing. No interaction whatsoever besides with Elle through a camera. But mainly because of what Light's perception of Kira is without his memories. Because of that, he sees Kira as just someone who's killing just to kill, and in doing so has hurt his family. Because of that, he tries to stop him. Of course, the second Light regains his memories, he goes back at it, but his mental state without any knowledge of the notebook, he tries to catch Kira because of personal reasons, not ideological ones. That's what I'm trying to say. The next person who picks up the Death Note is a businessman. This businessman is using the Death Note, of course, to keep killing criminals as instructed by Light, because he has to, but mainly he's using it to gain more profit for his company, the Yoshida Group. This whole plot spans like 9 episodes. You know, there's nothing much for me to say here. You know, Light's not killing people. I mean, he's justified in doing this whole scheme. This is the only way he gets the notebook back, of course, because, you know, he's been suspected. Literally the only way he can do this with, you know, staying alive, of course, and having the Death Note still exist. But I guess what I can say is that Light's going after them. Light's going after Kira, the supposed Kira, because of the damage he caused to his family. Hell, his father literally got gray hairs because of the whole ordeal. People like to use this as a justification for why the other investigators going after Kira is justified, but once again, they were getting in the way of something greater than life. That being the best life for all who are within society. Anyway, skipping over a lot of plot here, as most justifications don't really change. Let's get to the point where Light finally regains his memories and is going to kill Elle. This is random. I didn't know where else to put this, but while working on this video, I found out that there is a Death Note musical. Songs are not that bad. Anyway, there's that info if you want it. I'm really big in the theater and musicals, so finding this was really nice. Even if there is no official English production, it's still good anyway. So there's that info if you want. Got some bangers on it. Oh, also, there is a Death Note game called Death Note Killer Within. It's on Steam or on PlayStation. It's kind of like Among Us, but better. I've been playing a little bit of it. Should have seen it a bit in the background. Anyway, back to the video. At this point, Elle and his assistants are now gone. Anyone who will pose an existential threat to Kira has been eliminated. Light keeps certain investigators and his dad alive, of course, but anyone who will pose an actual threat to him is now gone. Light does all of this in a beautifully crafted episode, recapping everything, And at the end of episode 26, we're going to see what happens. Let me just show you the clip.
This will be the rebirth of Yotsuba.
Yeah, it's a new start. Huh? Hey, Namikawa, what's wrong?
That's impossible.
In April 2012, Light Yagami, age 23, joined Japan's National Police Agency. In the summer of 2012, Kira's killings increased at an unprecedented rate. Numerous people around the world were terrified of Kira, and yet there were just as many cheering him on. Gradually, their private thoughts became public opinion, and soon, certain nations began to accept Kira's judgment. The world was heading into a dark age in which Kira's will was the only law.
This is true. You look around today, and you see how crime and punishment is dealt with. What I see is people who commit the most terrible crimes you can think of, and either getting away with it with super light sentences for the crimes, or no sentencing at all. I see pedophiles that get let out of jail just after 5 years, or not even being convicted once caught. I see murderers just get 4 years of prison before being let out. I see terrible things happen over and over again, while basically nothing is done. No permanent punishment or deterrent is actually established. Thus, it happens again and again and again. The difference is that in the Death Note universe, they had Kira. They had someone who was willing to bring them out of this dark age of injustice and into the new world. After L's death, people start to think and see that more and more. Not because L's death was public, rather, Light had free reign to work however he pleased. Public opinion of Kira changes from majority bad to majority good. Light had become the new L, investigating Kira, and as you would expect, if his job is trying to find Kira, and he is Kira, he wasn't too good at his job. Years pass, and by the time the show picks up again, Light is 23, and he has had basically a time of unprecedented rule. Life is going pretty good for Light. He's still with Misa, he has a good job, the plan for the new world is coming along smoothly, and criminals are dying at an unprecedented rate. But this all changes when the people who are the successors to L, that being Nier and Mello, both very intelligent men, are competing with each other to try to be the first to catch Kira. Nier is the one working with the recently created Special Kira Task Force within the USA, the SPK, and the other, Mello, is getting in with the LA Mafia. They are both trying to get the resources necessary to catch and find Kira and avenge the death of L. Mello finds out about the Death Note's existence, and in turn, he's captured the Japanese police chief. The new Japanese police chief, not Light's dad. Eventually, what ends up happening is Light uses the Death Note to kill the police chief, meaning that Mello wouldn't have any leverage. Of course, this action taken by Light is justified. It follows the same line of thought, for those who are in the way are a threat to the new world. What happens with this instance specifically is that when that man is killed, he is a byproduct of the collateral damage that Mello is doing. Let's not kid ourselves here. The man was probably going to die anyway, be tortured to death by Mello and the LA Mafia. But the new Japanese police chief doesn't actually know anything about the Death Note. That's how secretive the knowledge of it has been. So, he was probably just gonna get tortured to death anyway. What Light is doing is making the person that is threatening him weaker, as well as ending the misery of this man. Even though Light killed this guy, his plan backfires as Mello kidnaps Light's sister, stating that the only way to get her back would be by giving up the death note that is in the possession of the Japanese police. Of course, only a small number of people know that the death note actually exists. Now, let me ask you, what would you do if you're in Light's position? Your sister has been kidnapped, and the only way to get her back is to hand over one of the most powerful weapons in human history. Would you give up the life of just one loved one to save countless of other people's? I know I would. Yes, she may be my sister, but like I've said in the past, if someone evil could control the death note, like the Mafia, God knows what the hell that they're gonna do with it. What crazy crimes they're going to be able to commit. What actually happens, though, is that Light ends up scheming a way to try to get both back his sister and keep the notebook. This fails, and the notebook is sent back to the LA Mafia and Mello via a rocket, and now the death note is in the hands of the Mafia. Immediately, what the first thing that the Mafia do is that they kill all known members of the American Kira investigation unit, leaving Nier with only a couple members left, trying to find Kira. Of course, something to keep in mind here is that Light did not end up killing his sister. He very, very much considered it, but what he should have done was not let the transfer happen in the first place. But Light's reasoning for not killing his sister is that if he did, the only people that would have known about the kidnappings, which would have been a small select group of people, would have basically ratted him out as Kira, by deduction. Of course, with the police chief earlier, Kira kills police every now and then, so it's plausible that the police chief would have died just like that. Or you could just blame it on Mello for killing him. But regardless, you couldn't do the same with Light's sister. It's not as if Light is giving up his ideas of a greater good here. Rather, he sees that the only way for him not to get convicted and ratted out as Kira is to not kill his sister. Yes, he's right here. He couldn't end up killing his sister. That's not to say that he wouldn't, but Light, time and time again, has shown that he will do literally anything for the greater good. But he shouldn't have had the transfer happen in the first place. But the death note can do so much damage, and giving it away just to save one life? God, I digress. In the short amount of time that the Mafia actually has the notebook, it is used, once again, to kill off competition. This time it's not businessmen, but other crime lords, drug lords, etc., etc. So the LA Mafia can expand their operations. But just so happens that the Mafia ends up not having the death note for too long, as the Shinigami that Ryuk originally took the notebook from now wants it back. He comes down to the human world to try and find it. Light uses Misa's eyes to find the criminal who is using the notebook, where he will use the death note that he still has to kill off all known Mafia contacts and to inform the police to storm the building where the notebook is. While Light is doing this, the Shinigami from earlier sees Light's plan and flies over to LA, informing the people in LA, the LA Mafia and Mello, that there are some rules in the death note that are fake. Kira eventually does what he says, and almost all Mafia members are dead. At the same time, the police storm the Mafia's base-off operations, where Light's dad took the Shinigami ideal to try to find out the remaining names of the people there. Mello and the police have a shootout leading to the Mafia base blowing up. Light's dad is on his deathbed with the Shinigami eyes and can see Light. Because Light was able to give up ownership of the Death Note earlier that episode, as he's going to give it to one of his followers, Light's dad can see his remaining time left. Thus, this proves him innocent to being Kira. These are his final words.
You'll be fine. It's okay.
Light. I still have them. I still have the Shinigami eyes. According to that Shinigami, Ryuk, I can't see the lifespan of someone who owns a notebook, but I can see the numbers above your head. Light. You really aren't Kira. I'm so glad. My son.
Don't tell me you're still worried about that, Chief. Of course he's not Kira.
Come on. You shouldn't talk so much, Dad. That's important, but I've got bigger things to deal with right now. I've got to get him to write Mello's name in the notebook.
I'm so sorry, but in the end, I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to kill him.
I can't just come out and say it's not too late. No, wait, maybe I can. It all depends on how I do it. No one will think it's weird if I get upset and panic. Come on! Dad, write his name! You can't let him beat you like this! Write his name down! With your last bit of strength, do you want to die in vain? Dad, no!
I'm sorry for your loss.
Dad! Wake up! Don't you die on me, you idiot!
Light, in response to his dad dying, screams out in pain and agony. People like to say, oh, he was just acting there. But there is no way he is acting here. Even though his father was trying to catch Kira, Light still loved his father. He had done so much good in Light's life. And I truly think that Light was being genuine, and he was honestly sad that his father died. Light's not a psychopath. He feels emotion. If he didn't, he wouldn't even care about creating this new world. After the death of Light's father, one book is returned to the Shinigami. Now there's only 2 notebooks left. One in the possession of the Japanese police, the one that they got from Mello, and the one that Light and Misa have. The one that they are now sending off to a Kira follower. The next thing of note to happen is that the President of the United States of America is declaring itself neutral in its policies on Kira. The strongest nation in the world now practically bows to Kira's will. The nation that was leading the investigation is no longer interested or pursuing the capture of Kira, allowing his judgment within the nation, doing nothing to stop Kira anymore. Thus, Nier and his fellow investigators now have to be privately funded. What happens soon after is the storming of the SPK headquarters, where Nier is located. The current spokesperson of Kira is Demigawa. He has been told by Kira to come to America and storm this building. When the protest starts, it's a bunch of Kira followers trying to break into the building and show the identities of the investigators within so that Kira can kill them. Light's plan is that when Nier is brought out, Misa will see them using her Shinigami eyes and kill them. I bring up the Kira protests to show that public opinion of Kira has changed. There are many, many people here, all protesting here in America. These are just your average people. They see the righteousness and good that Kira is bringing. They have seen the effects of Kira firsthand. And I'm sure that everyone within the protest has been positively affected by Kira one way or the other. Thus, when they hear that an organization is trying to bring Kira down, they act. The mob is breaking into the building, giving Nier the only option to evacuate. He is sure to die once he comes out. So what Nier does is drop God knows how much money down, probably millions of dollars, to be thrown around to distract the mob. People often like to say, because of this move, these people are only motivated by greed. But this couldn't be farther from the truth. They are here because they see good happening. They see the good that Kira is doing, the good that benefits everyone. But when they see the money, they all go crazy trying to grab it. Let's be honest here. If you're at any protest and randomly $100 bills start falling out, just start coming down, you're not going to grab one of those? It's human instinct to try and help and better yourself. I can guarantee any average person who is in the situation would try and grab the money. It's not like they're compromising on their values just because they're taking the money. It's not like they no longer believe in Kira. No, these people are justified in both the protest to help Kira and grabbing the money. Anyway, because of this commotion, Nier was able to get out of the building, and in all the chaos, was safe getting out. Now Nier is more suspicious of Light than he has ever been, informing all the investigators that are working with Light about his suspicion. Thus, what Light does next is to make sure Kira's will is still being pushed onto the world without being caught. He has sent the Death Note to a very, very loyal Kira follower. That man, of course, being Teru Mikami. Why is he loyal? Let me just play the clip.
In this world, there is only good and evil. That was one of the first universal truths I grasped from observing the world around me when I was a child. Every human being, without exception, ends up falling into one category or the other. Even in those innocent years of elementary school, one could not escape that fact. As class president, I strive to achieve great things for my fellow students. But there were always enemies, good against evil.
No! Stop! Let go of me, please!
Evil has to be confronted.
What do you want, nerd?
There were times when it seemed evil would triumph over good. But no matter what happened to me, I felt happy for one reason.
Thank you, Teru.
Hearing those words of gratitude from the victims made me want to save them again and again. For that reason, I never spared any effort. And in the end, I was able to stand up for my sense of justice.
Yeah, do it. Does this bug you?
But that was only true in the world of children. Middle school was another matter entirely. The more I confronted evil, the more enemies I had to face. Victims would become participants, and even the people watching would be influenced by evil and become enemies themselves. But for justice to triumph, it requires action. So I realized to serve justice, I had to delete evil. The only person who understood my hopes and remained my ally was the woman who raised me on her own. My mother. No. Rather, it used to be my mother.
Teru, not everything in the world is going to work the way you want it to. You have to stop doing this. There's no reason for you to suffer so much for your beliefs. What do you think you're proving getting hurt like this? This is plain foolishness. You have to realize that some things will never change.
My mother was wrong. She didn't side with justice. She was one of those who deserved to be deleted. That was when the miracle happened. 4 of the worst delinquents from my school lost control of their car while they were joyriding. They died instantly. One bystander was killed as well. That bystander was my mother. In one fell swoop, all the people I resented had been deleted. At first, I was terrified. I couldn't stop shivering. But then, it hit me. With these people out of the picture, how many others would benefit as a result? Clearly their victims were relieved, but beyond that, wouldn't everyone in my class be happier now that they were gone? And sure enough, I was right. Our classroom became a peaceful, joyful place. There will always be consequences for evil deeds. That is the way the world is. The way it should be. Evil must be deleted. Now then, let's see. Are there any more problems with these records? Every passing year, my commitment to justice only grew stronger. I saw that there will always be those who have no reason to exist. Those whose very existence is a threat to society. And the closer they grew to adulthood, the less likely it was that they would ever reform. They could only be deleted. Mysteriously, every time I judged someone as evil, they would soon be taken care of. Was it coincidence? Was I special somehow? In the end, it didn't matter. Divine judgment must be brought upon evil. And if it isn't, then someone must take it upon themselves to punish evil. That's why I became a prosecutor. It is the role of the prosecutor to see that evil is brought to justice. It was an ideal job for me. And then, God came before me. Everything that had been happening around me wasn't coincidence. It was divine justice. God had been watching me. God had seen how I did not surrender to evil. He reached out his hand and punished the evil people for me. Once I realized that, I started to frequent places where God was bound to be watching. And then it happened. God recognized me, as I had always hoped. Not only that, but he found me worthy of sharing his power to eliminate evil. With this, it doesn't matter if I can't hear his voice. I shall figure out what Kira wants and carry out his will. Delete. 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 Delete.
You see, Mikami is loyal because to him, Kira has only helped society. Mikami sees almost everything in black and white, good and evil, as he calls it. Yet, even though everything isn't necessarily good and evil, what Kira has done in his life has only been good and righteous. Whenever a bad person, an evil person, shows up in Mikami's life, they are killed. Mikami has seen what happens when you remove the filth from society. He's seen it at a small scale with his classrooms. But truthfully, he has seen it his entire life. Anyone he judges to be evil within his life are just gone. Just like that. Mikami is a prosecutor. He has seen the worst of the worst people, and he has convicted them. He is already, to a small extent, working for Kira's will. Mikami believes that Kira is God. I mean, you can't really blame him either. Whenever you judge someone to be evil, they die the next day. Just the thought of divine intervention in your life would make you do anything to help God, or specifically, to help who you believe is God. That, of course, being Kira. Even though Mikami may not be as smart as Light, he still aligns with Kira's values. Because of Mikami's sense of justice, his moral alignment with Kira, and believing Kira is God himself, makes Mikami the perfect man to carry out the will of Kira.
I saw him trying to speak to Kira through the television broadcasts. It was clear he worshipped Kira from the bottom of his heart. He would understand that he was chosen simply by receiving and accepting the notebook. There was no mistake in my selection. Teru Mikami. He's more than worthy of becoming the hand of Kira.
Light says it himself, that Mikami is the hand of Kira. From this point on in the show, Mikami has a notebook, and will be following Light's will. Now that I've shown you Mikami's logic and values, let me tell you what Mikami does first. When Mikami is first introduced, Demagawa, the current Kira spokesperson, has decided to try and make what he's calling Kira's Kingdom. To do this, he's getting donations from people. Of course, this whole thing is just a scam. Both Light and Mikami see through that. They both know what Demagawa is doing is going to just push people away from Kira, rather than supporting them. What Mikami does next, and what Light approves of, is killing Demagawa.
We are now accepting donations, starting at the $1,000,000 mark towards the completion of Kira's Kingdom. So, if you truly
this sounds like a con.
Yep, just another scam at this point.
It doesn't even seem like Kira's style.
Demagawa. He's just acting on his own now. If he keeps doing this, he'll end up pushing people away from Kira. I don't need him anymore, but I can't do much at the moment.
Hey, welcome back, Aizawa.
We didn't find a notebook in Light or Misa's room, but still...
I understand. You're more than welcome to keep watch over Misa and I until you're satisfied.
Next on the program, It's time for me to introduce the new leaders I have chosen for Kira's kingdom. The first gentleman is...
Delete.
We will unite with Kira and work with him!
Delete!
Save me!
And delete.
Now, how is this one justified? 9 times out of 10? No, more like 99% of the time, killing your own supporters is bad. You don't want to kill the people who agree with you and who are helping your cause. Yes, that's true. In most cases. But in the case of Demagawa, he is actively trying to undercut and undervalue the people who support Kira. He's scamming them. He's hurting the members of the Kira movement. If left up to his own devices for any longer, God knows what he's gonna do. He is no longer using his position as Kira's spokesperson to help the cause. Rather, he is now only doing this for financial gain. To dissuade people from thinking that this is okay and that Kira will accept this, Mikami kills Demagawa on live TV. Demagawa is effectively a heretic who is actively undermining Kira's influence. As I've said in the past, Kira has a way to get rid of these people, and you're telling me he's just not gonna use it? And specifically in this situation, Light is no position to act. Thus Mikami takes it into his own hands, killing Demagawa. Now that Kira's spokesperson is dead, as well as Light not being able to act on his own, Mikami takes things into his own hands once again, trying to find a new spokesperson for Kira. Mikami knows Kira's word needs to be spread effectively and efficiently, having someone who will accurately tell the words of Kira's will. He ends up picking Kaomi Takeda. Mikami met her on a televised debate program where she was the host. Mikami had gotten dinner with her afterwards and found out what she personally thinks about Kira. After the dinner, he came to the conclusion that she agrees and thinks just like Kira. So, he decides she will be the next candidate to be Kira's spokesperson. She also just happens to be Light's ex-girlfriend from when he was in college. Because of this, Light gets into contact with her, telling his police buddies that he's just doing this to get info on her. When they meet, Light makes sure that there's no listening devices in the room. Then, he talks to both Takeda and also Mikami through a phone, where he confirms to both of them that he is Kira. The only way that Light can contact Mikami in the future is through Takeda. It is here that Light tells Takeda that she will be the goddess of the new world, with her instead of Misa. Light states that Misa is too dumb to be his partner. Now, what Light's real intention here is unclear. Misa did kind of force himself onto her, but she's been generally useful to him along the way. She's been very useful with her Shinigami eyes and whatnot. But he's probably just doing this to ensure Takeda's loyalty. Regardless, he is justified in the fact that he will be using both of them to achieve this new world. Something else I feel the need to talk about, as it's brought up within the same episode.
Evening, this is the 9 o'clock news. First, I have an announcement that comes directly from Kira. His words are to become the new law of the world. Kira will never forgive those people whose existence is a threat to justice. But he will also not forgive those who live wastefully and refuse to use their abilities to contribute to the betterment of society.
This whole line of dialogue states that Light will eventually use the Death Note on those who live wastefully and refuse to use their abilities for the betterment of society. What this means to me is that he's not gonna kill lazy people, no, he's gonna kill the people who can work but choose not to. Those people who live off welfare checks and don't do anything to actually contribute to society. He is merely expanding this filth category of people that he needs to rid the world of. Of course, he will do this once he is in a more unchallenged position. Light is justified here once again because he's helping society. Those who live off welfare checks and don't contribute anything to society will start working again once a couple of them die. It's just a deterrent. He's not actually going to kill lazy people. Anyway, moving on. Nier keeps getting ever closer and closer to proving Light's Kira. Skipping over some plot here, the next thing I know that happens, when it comes to justification at least, is the death of Takeda. What happens is that while Light is waiting for his final meeting with Nier, Takeda gets kidnapped by Mello, who somehow isn't dead, but when she gets kidnapped, she hid a piece of the Death Note on her clothing, where she writes down Mello's real name. After the fact, she calls Light and basically begs Light to come and save her.
Light, I did it! Yes. I didn't struggle, even when he stripped me naked. I did exactly as you said. I made survival my first priority, and I did it. Please, Light. I did everything that you told me to. Come quickly. Save me!
Miss Takeda, you remember what I told you to do after that, don't you?
I have to do as many killings as possible while I still can. I know, but Light...
Can you do it?
I can do it.
After she is done writing down a bunch of names, Light ends up killing her, making her burn down everything around her so that the piece of the Death Note she was using is never found. Now, how is Light justified in doing this? First of all, before I say anything, Light's original plan was to have both Mikami and Takeda stay alive until the end, both using them as his loyal followers, Mikami with the Shinigami eyes, and Takeda as a spokesperson. This all changes, of course, when Mello kidnaps Takeda and throws a wrench in Light's plan. Now, Light has to ensure that Nier doesn't get to Takeda first, and the pieces of the Death Note that she has on her. Have you ever played the game of chess before? In the game of chess, one must sacrifice certain pieces to win the game. Even very important pieces, such as the queen. Certain sacrifices have to be made to reach the end goal. Light has proven time and time again that he will do whatever it takes to reach this end goal, to reach this new world, even if it means sacrificing some of his best pieces. Anyway, that's another analogy for you. Light didn't want to have to do this, but it came down to it. Thus, he needed to sacrifice her. Now, the time has finally come. The time for Light to meet Nier. Nier has picked the place of meeting to be an old warehouse. Light will bring the Death Note that the Japanese police have been in possession of. It'll be a Japanese police member who is now on Nier's side to be the one that carries it. On the way there, Light is driving, where he thinks to himself,
Looks like this is the end. No, more like the beginning. The perfect world of Kira. And those who know of the notebook's existence, all of them will die.
This, of course, only applying to those investigators that oppose Light. The only people leaving the warehouse should be Light and Mikami.
If someone comes into the warehouse through that door, just let them in without resisting. If the door opens slightly, simply act as if you don't notice anyone there.
But that's just crazy!
He's already here.
Hold it! Don't do anything!
Everything is fine. You won't die.
How can you be so sure, Nier?
Because I modified the notebook. We took brief possession of the notebook and replaced the pages. The person behind the door has been doing the killings for Kira. He has also been using exactly one page every day. Based on that, I was able to replace the page he would use today, as well as all subsequent pages, so that no one else would die.
I knew it! I knew it! I knew it! I knew all along you had tampered with the notebook. Nier, you've been completely defeated. The notebook you altered was nothing more than a forgery I had Mikami prepare. On the other hand, the one Mikami is writing their names in is the real notebook, which had been kept hidden until now. You've done well, Mikami. How many seconds has it been since you wrote down the first name? "30 seconds. 31. 32. 33. 34. 35. 36. 37. 38. 39! Well, Nier, looks like I win.
We're still alive. It's been over a minute and we haven't died.
And it was this very moment when I realized Light was gonna lose. I was watching this and I was so pissed off because the entire show, I was looking forward to this episode. In the episode list, you can see the last episode was titled New World. And I thought, all this build-up is going to lead to Light's new world. Light's perfect world. The thing that Light had been working towards for the past 6 years. A whole 37 episodes. The thing that defined him. The thing that he had sacrificed so much for. But no. He doesn't win. He should have won! Damn it, he should have won! What ends up actually happening is that we get to see Light's world crumble all around him. And we get to see Mikami's worldview shatter in just an instant. The police go there and handcuff Mikami. While Light desperately pleads that this whole thing is just to frame him. Nier then explains what he did, which was that he found and replaced the real Death Note with a fake. When Light is confronted about all this, he gives one of the best speeches in the entire show.
That's right. I am Kira. And what can you do? Kill me right here? Hear this. I'm not only Kira, but I am also God of the New World. Kira has become law in the world we now live. He's the one who's maintaining order. I have become justice. The only hope for mankind. Kill me? Is that really the right thing to do? Since Kira's appearance 6 years ago, wars have stopped, and global crime rates have been reduced by over 70%. But it's not enough. This world is still rotten. With too many rotten people. Somebody has to do this! And when I first got that notebook all those years ago, I knew I had to do it. No, I was the only one who could. I understood that killing people was a crime. There was no other way. The world had to be fixed. A purpose given to me. Only I could do it. Who else could have done it? And come this far? Would they have kept going? The only one who can create a new world is me.
Did you hear that? Global crime has been reduced by 70%, and all wars have stopped. Light will keep working until crime rates are at 0%. Light is right. He is the only one maintaining order. Most crimes don't even happen anymore. And for the first time in human history, there has been world peace. Does that not sound like a good world to you? Does that not sound like a world that you would want to live in? This is just a fraction of what Kira will achieve. Because of this reason alone, everything that Light has done up until this point has been justified. Light has done all of this for the ultimate greater good. Light will keep working to bring about his utopia until his very last breath. In response to all of this, Nier basically says, "Nuh-uh, you're just a crazy serial killer." The arguing continues until Light pulls out a tiny piece of the Death Note, where in response, he is shot by Matsuda. From here, Mikami, being unable to witness any more of this, kills himself, and in the chaos, Light runs away, where he eventually bleeds out on some stairs. At the end, I just sat there in awe, watching the credits roll. I was wondering, should I skip ahead to see if there was an end credit scene? No, I didn't skip. Why? Because this piece of media that I've watched just stuck with me in a way no other piece of media has done. I just sat there and thought about everything that could have been. All the wonders that Light would have brought onto the world. How peaceful of a world it would have finally been. He was so close, yet all of it dashed in front of our very own eyes. Just like that. I love Death Note because of its ideological undertones, its psychological thrillers, all the things that make this show good. But that entire time, we were rooting for Light. All the time the viewer had dumped into the show had been meaningless. Light lost, and we never got to see his utopia. Only the dream of one. I do truly hope that this video has convinced you that Light Yagami was right and justified in his actions. How some of the more morally questionable things that he did were all in the name of the greater good, to create the perfect world. Thus, it is all justified. Hey, I am the right-wing Lutheran. Please like and subscribe, I'm begging you. I really hope that you like this video. It's my longest one yet, but God, do I love Death Note. Hopefully this video does well. I make lots of things largely talking about society as a whole, so please check out some of my other videos, specifically why the death penalty is justified. I feel like that has a very similar vibe to this Death Note video. I haven't posted recently as I've been pretty busy in my life, but this channel is a passion thing, and I'm going to keep producing things whenever I feel passionate about them. Anyway, I will return to some of my more usual videos next, but leave a comment on what I should do next. Leave a comment if you agree with me. Leave a comment if you disagree with me. I don't care. It's engagement for me regardless, so. Anyway, thank you for watching.